What's up, meta nerds? This video is all about the J-1 semi-autonomous Proton cannon. We don't know for sure who made them, but it's a pretty good guess that it was the Bactoid Armor Workshop. The same engineers that brought us the Dwarf Spider droid and the Advanced Dwarf Spider droid, both of which have a lot of the same design features as the J-1. The legs and red photoreceptor eyes are what they have most in common. These legs allow it to be a very stable shooting platform, making it accurate enough to take out enemy aircraft. But it's important to note that there's a reason why it's called semi-autonomous. That's because, unlike most of the other droid vehicles that we've looked at, the J-1 can't operate on its own. The way it works is that it would start off at this resting position, which gave the J-1 a much smaller profile, perhaps making it easier to conceal from the enemy. When it was ready to fire, it would lift itself up and aim its large cannon toward the enemy. Like I said, it's only semi-autonomous, so the battlefield commander had the option of letting its droid brain try and shoot down enemy targets, or allowing a B-1 battle droid to hop in the cockpit and do the aiming itself. This to me shows that the droid brain must not have been that good, and the autonomous mode not that reliable if they're going to trust a B-1 to do it instead. But no matter what mode it was on, it still relied on the B-1 because each of the proton bombs that it fired had to be loaded in manually. And what's really funny to point out is that on the bottom of this picture, you can see that a B-1 droid is carrying this bomb all by himself. But these two clone troopers were struggling and grunting when they were trying to pick it up. So the B-1 is a lot stronger than you think. But once the shell was loaded up, it could fire this highly explosive bomb over an enormous distance. In the Clone Wars episode Innocence of Ryloth, we see that the Techno Union has put a bunch of J-1 proton cannons under the command of the tactical droid TX-20. Being a super intelligent tactical droid, he knew that although these things were incredibly powerful, they also had incredibly weak defenses. Something he exploits later in the episode when he takes out the massive J-1 with what looks to be a single shot from an AAT. So to protect against this flaw, he surrounds the battery of J-1 proton cannons with a living shield of captured Twi'leks. This was a great idea because the invading Jedi were unwilling to sacrifice the innocent lives. So being unable to drop down bombs or laser fire from above, they have to attempt a landing, and here we get to see just how strong the J-1 is, when it's able to take out something as large as the Acclamator class assault ship, and it easily destroyed several LAAT gunships with a single hit. Despite being this awesome, we don't see them too often, as they only appear in this episode and in Landing at Point Rain. Again, they show off their strength, taking out LAATs, dropping off ATTEs, but again we see how vulnerable they are when they get taken out by a single bomb dropped by a Y-Wing. That's the last that we get to see of them through the Clone Wars, and it's unknown if any survived the Great Droid deactivation at the end of episode 3. But before you go, I definitely want to go over some cool facts and some behind the scenes stuff. This thing appears in 2 different LEGO sets, meaning it has as many LEGO sets as it does episodes. At 6.46 meters tall, or about 21 feet, this thing would be about as tall as a 2-story building. But I should also point out that the barrel itself is almost as long as the entire body. And the J-1 was built on a real-world weapon designed for taking out aircraft. It was called a Flak gun, and it was used a lot during World War II. You can see that the way that the shells explode in the air are similar to the J-1, but the World War II version dealt its damage through shrapnel, whereas the proton bombs of the J-1 dealt their damage through a concussive explosion. And they were also based on the flak guns aboard the Invisible Hand that we see in episode 3. Note the similarities in shape of both the barrel and the gun itself, as well as the fact that they fire the same proton bomb ammunition. Well, that's it for the J-1 semi-autonomous proton cannon. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that like button so YouTube knows this is a video for Star Wars fans like you. Be sure to comment down below if I missed any interesting facts, or if you have a suggestion for future videos. And make sure you check out our description so that you can find out how you can learn even more about Star Wars while helping Meta Nerds lore grow. But more important than all that, remember, pray to the Force that one day you can be as cool as Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the Force will be with you, always.